Hi Vanner Fanner family. So today's video is a Q&A. This email comes from Miss A, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because I don't want to repeat episode of what happened last Q&A video. Basically, Miss A asked me if I plan on getting a Skoolie because at some point she thought I said something about it, and what will I do to work towards that goal, because she likes Skoolies, and would I consider a long-term camp on BLM land. I think she means a long-term visitor camping on BLM land. There's another question here, but I'm going to answer that on a different video. So this video is just going to be about the Skoolie and the long-term BLM land camping. Thank you for your question, Miss A. So, I would love to have a short Skoolie or a shuttle bus, something like that. That's not going to happen anytime soon. They're not super expensive. It's just that I don't have the $2,000 to $5,000 on hand at the moment to go start looking for one, because that's about what you're gonna find. $2,000 to $5,000 is how much the bus itself is going to cost you, depending on what school district you're in, or depending on what state you're in, and depending on the condition of the bus, the age of the bus, all that. Just like buying a car, really. A lot of school districts get rid of the buses at a certain amount of miles, and there's nothing really mechanically wrong with the buses. You know, they upkeep the buses because they have to. These are chartering kids back and forth all over the county and the state, so they have to keep the buses to a high standard of maintenance. At least they're supposed to. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say that they always do, but they're supposed to keep them to a high standard. And I know for the county that I used to work in, and I worked on a bus. I didn't drive the bus, but I worked on a bus for special education as an aide. And if something was wrong with our bus, we have a whole rundown we have to do, or the driver has to do, and I helped her. Both bus drivers I had were female. Interesting. Anyway, they have a rundown they have to do every morning before even starting the bus. They start the bus, and once the bus is started, there are things they have to go through. Like, there's a list of things you have to do before you can even begin your run, which is why they start so early in the morning, because if something goes wrong with the bus, they've got to call that into a supervisor to get a substitute bus, or a spare bus as we would call them. And there's not tons of spare buses in the county, so it's not like there's a bus for every other bus out there. So hopefully there's not tons of breakdowns, which is why they're constantly repairing any little things or fixing any little things. If you have an odd smell, they tell you not to take the bus out if it smells like burning or rubber or anything like that, and you get a spare bus. So counties are supposed to keep those buses in tip-top working order for transporting our kids all across the county. Sometimes they go across the state. Sometimes they go out of town for field trips that are out of towns, like sporting events and stuff like that. Sometimes, things like that. Depends. So back to the question. Yes, I would love to have a Skoolie, but I would like a short Skoolie. I would like the short Skoolies that are on the van chassis, I guess. It's just the body of the bus. That way you get the wider body, but the actual chassis is like a van chassis. Preferably a Chevy, not a Ford. I'm trying to stay away from Fords if I can do that. I've not had good luck with Fords. So I've never, I have had like one, maybe two Chevys in my lifetime, but I think a Chevy short Skoolie would be cool to have. I have a friend, Uncle Lynn, who I never ended up doing a tour of his Skoolie. We were supposed to do it last year and I never got around to it. Anyway, he has the perfect type of bus, size-wise, and where the lift is. Because he has a handicap short Skoolie, and where his lift is, it's in the front. next to the door that the students get on. The lift is in the front, not in the back. I don't want one with the lift in the back. I would love to find one that has a lift and have it in the front. I don't want it in the back because that's where you're going to put the bed, or at least that's where I'm going to put the bed, in a Skoolie across the back. So I don't want the lift there. I want the lift in the front where I can utilize it, or I can open it up and use it as a porch, or bring it down and put stuff on it to bring into the, van. So I hope that answers your first question about a Skoolie. Now, as far as me saving, how will I go about saving it? Well, I plan on getting a job. I actually have a job interview next week. So I plan on getting a job, and we'll see what comes of that. I've got 4 or maybe 5 different jobs that I've applied for. It's hard in a small town to find a job. Walmart is on my list as a last resort, and Dollar Tree is just above Walmart as a last resort. So I will go to those 2 places and fill out applications if need be. But there's a couple of things I applied for yesterday and the day before on Craigslist and online, so I'm hoping that those pan out for me. So that's how I can save money. And also the second question was about the BLM long-term camping. So I'm going to put a link down below for the actual place where you can buy that long-term camping, and it's LTVA, I think. It's either LTVA or LTAV, one of the 2. I'll put it on the screen somewhere, and the link down below. So it's basically long-term visiting, and if I can remember correctly, from what I've read and been told, there are 6 or 7 camp areas you can go to in the Arizona, Nevada, and I believe one of them might be in California area, and you can rotate between those places, and I think it's $180 for 7 months of access. And I want to say it starts in September. Is it September or October? I think it's September. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Is it September through March for the 180? Anyway, I think it's 6 or 7 months that you get for that 180 per year for that season. And it goes down cheaper in the summer because it's so hot in those areas. A lot of people aren't there. So I think it goes down way cheaper. And I'll again put the link below so you can get all those details. So yes, that is something I'm considering when I go back west, is buying that $180 long-term visitor pass, because I can just bounce back and forth. There's no 2-week limit. That's why it's called long-term visitor. It's BLM land, but you don't have to move every 2 weeks. You can just sit there to your heart's content in one spot, or you can bounce back and forth to all of them. It's completely up to you. So yes, I'm very, 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 very much considering. I wish there were more boondocking opportunities on the East Coast, in the South, and in the North than there are. I'm not as familiar with the South and the North as I am with the East Coast. It's really difficult to boondock in the East Coast that's not like parking lots. I really wish that even people who have land and they're doing absolutely nothing with it, I really wish they would charge a little small fee or something for people to be able to long-term boondock on that land. Like really, you just have open land that's going to waste, just getting passed down from generation to generation to generation, like why not open it up and make a little money on it, at least enough to pay your taxes every year, right? I mean, I would do that if I had land. You'd have to either, if you lived in the area, kind of patrol it every once in a while to make sure it was pack it in, pack it out. And if it's not, then you can just shut it down. You know, put a little fence around once you get the money and pack it in, pack it out. And if people don't, just, okay, you lost the opportunity. But I feel like, yeah, I don't know. There is a, I think it's called Boondockers Welcome, is a website or an app that people can list if they have a driveway or a parking space, and you know what kind of rig you could bring and park there. And I don't know if it's a fee to post, but I think there's a fee for us who want to use the space. So I'll have to check more into that, and I'll try and put a link to that down below as well. So I hope that answers your questions, Miss A. Kind of a roundabout way of answering your questions, but I think I did. And I'm going to save your other question, which I get asked so much, and I'm kind of considering it, but I don't know where I could fit it in time-wise. So I'm going to answer that on a different video coming up in the next few days. So I do have some really big news coming up. For those of you that follow me on social media, you already know this, but I've got some really big, huge news coming up. So I want you guys to keep watching, and I hope you are enjoying these Daily Dose videos. And if you are, please consider going over to Patreon and supporting them for just $1 a month. And you can learn how you can gain access to my podcast. Thanks for watching. Mwah. I'll see you tomorrow.